So before you even start using the clutch, you need to know that in order to have the most control, you don't want to be using all 4 of your fingers. Now, this is a really easy mistake to make, whether you're taught that in your street bike class or it's just really easy to pull the lever with all 4 fingers, maybe because you don't have super strong hands. But what this is doing is if you have all 4 of your fingers pulling in the clutch, then you only have your palm and your thumb here to control the handlebars, and it's really easy, especially while riding, if you just hit a bump, for your hand and thumb to just slide right off. And not only can you hit something with that, but once you lose control with one hand and you're riding bumpy terrain, it's really easy to go like that and then just fly off the bike or run into a tree. So what you need to do is use 1 or 2 fingers to pull in the clutch or the front brake. I always like to leave 1 finger on there. That way I don't have to spend that extra split second reaching for it. So if your clutch lever is hard to pull in, then it may need to be lubed, but use 2 fingers if needed, 1 if possible if it's easy to pull in, whether it's your pointer or your middle finger. And having your lever properly adjusted, which I showed in a previous episode of this beginner series, makes it a lot more comfortable and easier to pull in, whether it's the angle or how far in or out it is to the handlebars if you have short or long fingers. The next major thing is finding that engagement point, or in other words, the friction zone. So when you pull in the clutch, you shift it down into first and you start letting the clutch out, you got to find that point of where the lever is when the bike starts moving. So that's when the bike starts engaging. So when you pull in the clutch, the plates, they separate and they're still spinning, but when you slowly let the lever out, the plates will start to come together. And once they get close enough to touch and grab, it's going to grab the plates, and that's when the bike will start to move. Now, a lot of people, they make the mistake of once the bike starts moving, then they either give it gas or they just dump the clutch out, and that's when you end up stalling it. And if you're riding a race bike like a YZ250 or like a 450 enduro bike, those have taller gearing, so it requires you to slip the clutch a lot more to get going faster mile an hour before you can let the clutch all the way out. So slipping the clutch is simply when you're letting the clutch out, the bike starts moving. So the bike is, the clutch is starting to engage, but you haven't let the clutch all the way out. So the engine can still free spin without accelerating a lot. So once you let the lever all the way out, that means the clutch should be fully engaged. So you're done slipping the clutch. So the plates are full contact. So if you give it gas, the wheel is going to start spinning. So what do you do to prevent stalling? Well, you simply slowly let out the clutch and keep it at that point. Once the bike starts to accelerate, you can give it a tiny bit of throttle, but basically you keep slipping the clutch until you're moving fast enough to put both your feet on the foot pegs, and then you can let the clutch all the way out. Put it into first gear, you slowly let the clutch out, and that's when the bike starts moving. You pull it back in, let it out. Just do that a couple times to get a feel of where the engagement point starts. And then this is where people go wrong. They start feeling it move, and then, oh wow. This beginner bike is so easy to learn on that it just keeps going. I was supposed to let out the clutch and the engine stalls because people think that once it starts moving, you can go. But you need to continue slowly letting it out. And on a trail bike like this, you don't need to give it too much gas. So you slowly let it out. You can give it a little bit of gas. And then I can put both feet on the pegs, and then I can let the lever all the way out. And if you're worried about the bike doing a wheelie, especially if you're starting on the wrong bike that has too much power, it's really easy to let out the clutch and the bike starts accelerating, and you slide back on the seat. And then this also causes you to pull your wrist back and twist the throttle even more, and that's when you get that whiskey throttle loop out. So what you can do when you first start riding is scoot up on the seat as far as possible. Even if you're a little bit tall for the bike like I am on this one, it's still safer to start on the front of the seat, close to the gas tank, and that way there's more weight forward, keeping the front end down, so you're a lot less likely to wheelie and slide back on the seat when the bike accelerates. Maybe you start riding, you're like, yay, I figured out how to use the clutch. That's awesome, but how do you stop? Oh, engine stalled. Now you gotta find neutral, or you gotta pull the clutch in to start again. Which do you do? Well, if you wanna learn how to stop a dirt bike with the clutch, but also stop faster and safer without going over the bars or sliding your tires, stay tuned for episode 14, I think. Subscribe, watch that here tomorrow, or if it's already out, click right here. I'm Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Please share this with a friend or family member so that you can all get started dirt biking safely and on a budget.